This program on investing under regulation crowdfunding is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome. What if you could profit from the opportunity to invest in a company that is saving lives in some of the lowest income countries on the planet? Well, we're going to talk about that opportunity today, so stick around. You do not want to miss it. Today, my guest is Sona Shah. She is the CEO and founder of Neopenda. Welcome to the Superpowers for Good show from the Super Crowd. We're excited to have you. Uh, Sona, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is all ours. You are doing some remarkable things. I kind of envision you saving lives in the developing world, and yet I can't help but think that your product is going to just save tons of money in the developed world too. Tell us about your cool technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for having me. So, I run a company called Neopenda, and we design medical technologies for the 85% of the world's population who doesn't have access to medical technologies. We started about 10 years ago. So, this year is our 10th anniversary, and we're thrilled to have our first product in market and gaining a lot of traction, primarily in sub Saharan Africa. So, our first product, Neoguard, is a wearable vital signs monitor that helps alert clinicians of patients in distress. It measures continuously pulse rate, respiratory rate, oxygen saturation, and temperature, all in the simple headband. And then vital signs wirelessly connect over Bluetooth Low Energy to a centralized dashboard on a tablet provided with our system. So clinicians can look at one screen and be able to tell what's going on with all their patients. It's fully regulated. We have CE mark on the product, which is the European version of FDA clearance. And we have commercially launched. We've now sold to over 45 hospitals, primarily in Kenya, but also not only be seeing the impact on the patients that we're serving, but starting to generate profits on the company.
This is really amazing, and the technology is really quite advanced. This is not. That's what struck me about it. Is this doesn't seem to me to be a substitute for people who can't afford good technology. It seems like more affordable, great technology. Tell us about what that little device that goes on the baby's head monitors and how it gets reported through the cloud all to people locally in the hospital and elsewhere. I mean, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's designed to look pretty simple and to be easy to use, but there's a lot of engineering and a lot of R&D that went into the product itself. So on the device itself, we have two sensors on the back. This is our pulse oximeter, which typically measures pulse rate and oxygen saturation. Our algorithms can also actually detect respiration rate or breathing rate. We also have a temperature sensor. So 4 different vitals in a simple headband worn around the patient's forehead. It's adjustable, so we can adjust for different patient sizes. They're premature, they're full term, and it's reusable, rechargeable. So you can pop the device out, recharge the battery. It lasts for 36 hours without having to recharge it. So again, designed to be pretty simple, very easy to use for our users and for the patients, but there's a lot of engineering that's in this little box. The vital signs will wirelessly connect over Bluetooth Low Energy. We provide a tablet with our system that allows clinicians to look at one screen, and she can click on a patient's tile and pull up trends over time. A clinician's immediately alerted when any of the vital signs are outside of healthy ranges. On the wearable itself, it flashes red whenever vital signs are out of healthy ranges. On the tablet, there's an auditory tone and there's a visual indicator that something could be wrong with the patient. So the intent of this product is really to alert clinicians in really overcrowded, understaffed hospitals that something could be wrong with the patient, so that our clinicians can provide more timely and appropriate care to the patients that need it most.
It, you know, this is going to save lives. How did you get started a decade ago with this on this trajectory? Because it really is a remarkable place to be operating now.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll actually maybe start with my journey prior to starting Neopenda. I think that helps our viewers understand a little bit more about where we came from and how we started. So I studied chemical engineering at Georgia Tech and graduated a semester early, had a job lined up in pharma, but decided that I wanted to spend that extra semester doing something different. So I went to Western Kenya and I was a primary school teacher out there, mostly teaching math and science and a little bit of English. Really loved everything about the culture and community there. It was beautiful, it was warm, and there was more of a life without expectations. But being there for several months, I was exposed to a number of inequities that I was fortunate not to have growing up. Fast forward a bit, I did have that job lined up in the US. So I came back to the US and started working in pharma. And that's where I really learned a lot more about engineering and started working with bioreactors, creating medications that were being used in clinical trials. Really loved the engineering, product process development, understanding more about regulatory and quality and what that whole process looked like. But I kept thinking that the kids that I taught in Kenya may never see the medications that I was helping make. And that drew me back to graduate school at Columbia University to figure out how can we provide equitable access to healthcare around the world. I didn't know that we'd end up with a startup, but here we are, 10th anniversary. And I went to Columbia University for my master's in biomedical engineering. Really fortunate to meet my now co-founder, Tess, in a biodesign course that allowed us to explore why neonatal mortality in particular is so much higher in low and middle income countries than in the US. We could only do so much from our lab in New York. So we got funding from the university, used that to travel out to Uganda. And that's really when we committed ourselves to Neopenda, because what we saw there were hospitals that didn't have any functioning medical equipment. They had rooms that nurses called the equipment graveyard, just mounds of broken equipment that we quickly realized is because most countries don't have access to medical technologies designed specifically with and for them. So 85% of the world doesn't have medical equipment that actually works in their environments. This is because of dust getting into their equipment or power instability or Wi-Fi connectivity constraints. So for that reason, patients and clinicians that are caring for them are suffering most from this strain. That's when we realized that we had such a massive opportunity to both create products that are impactful and save lives, but also can tap into a largely untapped opportunity where if we can figure out how to sell medical devices into these markets, then it's very untapped and we have the opportunity to make significant profits off of that as well.
It really is inspiring to hear your story and how you came about this. And I love that it started with you visiting, spending real meaningful time in Kenya. It is a beautiful place, wonderful people. I've been there myself, but there's something you get from spending real amounts of time in a place that to appreciate. And but clearly, what you're doing is working. So now you're raising capital on WeFunder. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to raise capital from the crowd.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we've raised over $6 million to date, and this is from a variety of sources. So first year grants and non-dilutive capital from Grand Challenges Canada, Grand Challenges Africa, Vodafone Americas Foundation, Cisco, a variety of people, UN Women that have invested their money in us from a grant perspective. We've also raised funding from angels and VCs, institutional investors, family offices. But now, as we start to transition to scale, we thought, what better way to scale than involve the community in our efforts? And that's both from a funding perspective, give access to investors, democratizing access to investments with anyone, anywhere, being able to invest from just $100. And alongside that, we also get their expertise. We get the minds and brains of thousands of people that have the ability to open doors for us or tell us what the next pitfalls may be. So as we continue to grow and scale, we need both the funding, but that's only one side of it. We also need your expertise in this.
That really is just amazing that you're giving people an opportunity to participate with you in the tremendous upside that you're creating. I love seeing what you're doing, and certainly want to see you succeed as you roll forward. Uh, Sona, as you look to the future, uh, it's easy for people to think, well, this is really kind of charity. And I'll just do this with a little bit of money because I want Sona to do this. But I think that misses the fact that there is a tremendous global business opportunity here, because this is not your only product. This is your first product. This is a huge marketplace, and there are countries all around the world that could utilize this technology, hospitals in every one of them. How big is the market? What is the potential for Neopenda?
Yeah, across Africa alone, we're looking at a $3.4 billion market for vital signs monitoring. So right now, we're starting with a relatively niche market of neonatal patients for inpatient uses. This is usually your secondary, tertiary levels of care. But in Kenya alone, there are 13,000 clinics and hospitals. We're in about 30 of those 13,000. So we're just getting started in our journey. But just imagine what we could do if we could put this in every single hospital and clinic that needs it. The hospitals that we're operating in, the clinics that we're operating in, don't have access to vital signs monitoring. There's something just as simple as vital signs monitoring. The voice of our newborns, the basis for a lot of medicine is vital signs. And we just don't have access to that in a lot of the world. We're proving that it is possible for hospitals to actually procure equipment directly from companies that design products specifically with and for them. And in doing so, we're tapping into that $3.4 billion market opportunity. But our journey doesn't stop with neonatal monitoring in Africa. It continues with pediatric and adult patients that also need our system, with primary levels of care, with community health workers going out to remote communities to be able to monitor patients' vitals and triage and send them back to the hospital as needed, being able to detect that something is wrong with the patient earlier on. It extends beyond Africa as a continent and into emerging markets globally, which truly is 85% of the world's population. So the possibilities are endless just for vital signs monitoring alone. But beyond that, we spent the first 6 years of our journey in research and development creating an ISO 13485 certified company, which is the basis for having a robust quality management system for any medical device company. And we spent those 6 years not just in R&D on this product, but creating the framework that will allow us to design new products and technologies with the platform that we've already created. Think about what, if we can do this with the first vital signs monitor, we can do so much more with connected medical technologies and beyond.
Holy cow. Your answer to that question was so much more inspiring than I thought it was, and I thought it was great. I thought it was going to be great. So this really is exciting, folks. People in the super crowd, as you're watching, as you're thinking about this, I want you to get as excited about this as I am. I mean, holy cow. Uh, Sona has created a business, a technology that will save lives. And there's so much more coming behind it and so much scale opportunity that I can't remember a better story for upside potential in the financials and impact. The combination of impact and profit potential in this deal is really unrivaled in my experience. I just love what she's doing, and I'm excited to see her succeed. Listen, Sona, we got to take a quick break here, but folks, let me remind you, I'm here today with Sona Shah. She's the CEO and founder of Neopenda. She's doing amazing things with vital signs monitoring in the developing world. And oh my gosh, such a great opportunity for us to consider investing. Now, I want to, we've got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk to Sona about her superpowers. So stick around. You don't want to miss this.
Download a free copy of How to Make Money with Impact Crowdfunding. The book Sarah Hanks describes as
a fantastic overview, not just of crowdfunding investing, but of investing in general.
Andrew Savickas raved,
"This book offers unparalleled insights for anyone looking to make a difference."
Scan the QR code to get your copy. Supercrowd 25, where innovation meets impact.
18 hours of live content, 5 platforms, 1 global audience.
Join the largest event for regulated investment crowdfunding. Live pitches, expert panels, real change.
August 21st and 22nd.
Scan the code or visit thesupercrowd25.com to register free today.
Struggling to raise capital for your business? Unlock the power of the crowd with AI. My free guide, Crowdfunding Made Simple, walks you through every step to success. Get funded smarter, faster. Scan the QR code now for your free download.
Welcome back, everyone. We're so thrilled to be here today. We've got with us here on the Superpowers for Good show from the Super Crowd, we've got Sona Shah. She's the CEO and founder of Neopenda with us. And we've been talking about her amazing vital signs monitor for neonatal children and patients. And now we're going to shift gears to talk to her about her superpower. So stick around. Sona, you really got our attention in the first half of this discussion with the amazing work that you're doing. I think we're all just dying to know what makes this amazing woman, Sona Shah, tick. What is your superpower?
It's a good question, and it's hard to come up with one concrete thing that I think makes me tick. I think in reality, resilience is probably the thing that keeps me going. We saw a problem, and it's too big of a problem to ignore here. It extends well beyond, the company itself. But if there's something that I'm really passionate about, I will move mountains to figure out how to make it work. What we're doing is not easy. We're considered traditionally risky. We're medical devices, it's hardware, there's regulatory clearances, and we're operating in markets where typically equipment is procured through donations. So we are not only innovating on the business model, or not only innovating on the product side, we're also innovating on the business model side. And I think what has kept me going is just that I know that this is a problem worth solving, and I'm an extraordinarily resilient person. So I will find ways to make things work. The early supporters have been there from the very beginning, and I think they've constantly reminded me that we've pushed the boundaries of what we think is possible. Sometimes things take longer than we expect, and sometimes they're harder than we expect, but that doesn't mean we're going to turn down the challenge. It just means that we're going to buckle up and we're going to get ready to move forward, despite whatever challenges are thrown at us. Because the reality is, that's why something as simple as vital signs monitoring doesn't exist in our markets. It seems so obvious, but there's a lot of hard work that needs to go into it, to not just proving that we can create a product with and for our users, but figuring out how to make it a sustainable, profitable business going forward, and that users continuously are loving to use the product and will refer it to their friends. So we're really excited about that. But I think if I weren't as resilient as I am, then we wouldn't be here today.
I completely understand what you're saying. My gosh, all entrepreneurs tend to be optimistic, but successful entrepreneurs have something that unsuccessful ones don't, and that is that resilience that you're talking about. And so we can see it in the tremendous progress you've made over a decade. It's right there. It's visible. But I wonder, could you share a story, a specific instance when maybe you overcame a particular challenge where you really had to tap in consciously to that resilience in order to get over a hurdle?
Yeah, I think there's many instances of that. I think one of the earliest ones was figuring out how to do our manufacturing. It's often overlooked, but in hardware, of course, creating your manufacturing line is not an easy task. There's a lot of things that go into it, and it's totally out of our expertise. It's not something that I know how to do. It's not something that my co-founder knew how to do. And I think a lot of it was just hiring the right talent, finding the right people that allow us to just fully trust them to navigate complex situations. I think another such situation is around funding. Every entrepreneur that I know of has struggled with funding at some point in time. And there have certainly been moments in our time where funding was tough. There's never been a moment where I thought that's the end of the company, because I knew that, again, the problem was too big for us to let go. It just required more creativity and resilience in a way that many others wouldn't necessarily push forward and figure out. The third story that I'll tell around this is early on in our commercial journey, we started out working with a distributor-led model in Kenya. And our distribution partners were great. But at the end of the day, a distributor is going to sell hundreds of products in their catalog, and featuring a new product that has no name, that has no brand, is challenging to do. So we switched and pivoted our business model later on in 2023 that went directly to our hospitals. We're going to be our best salespeople, but it did come with a lot of tough decisions around how do we do this pivot? How do we make it work? How do we still maintain the right relationships, and trying something new that we didn't know was going to work or not. But that's been so instrumental to our success recently. So we're really thrilled to have gone through those.
That really is an inspiring example of that resilience, trying to figure out how to get your product sold. And yeah, using a distributor sounds so easy until they don't sell any. Then you're like, oh, wait, there's a problem here. Yeah, that is great. We all want to know how to be more resilient. How would you coach someone to develop that resilience?
I think there's a few different ways of doing that. The first is, if you're an entrepreneur, then you have to be obsessed with the problem that you're solving. I would say find a problem that is worth solving. That's step one. It's a long haul, no matter how easy it is to create the startup or the product or the solution that you're creating, the service. It's never going to be an overnight success. And so you do have to be in it for the long run. So finding a problem that is worth solving is step one. Step two is surrounding yourself with people that also care about the problem and care about you. So taking care of yourself, I think mental health is often overlooked in a lot of our environments, just because as entrepreneurs, it's go, go, go. But if you're not at your best as a person, then you're certainly not going to be at your best as a leader. So just making sure that you're investing in yourself and surrounding yourself with people that are going to challenge you, the people that are going to tell you that was maybe a step back, or maybe there was a different way to do it, and taking that feedback and running with it and making improvements as you go. It's okay if you don't do everything right the first time. You probably won't, and just keep moving forward, because again, your problem is worth solving. So you'll figure out how to restructure. It's okay if 100 people tell you no in a day, but if that one person says yes and believes in you, take that and run with it. So don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to accept defeat, but don't lose sight of what you actually care about and what the problem is that you're solving.
I think that's really great counsel, and I appreciate you sharing that. But thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I really want to wish you every success in the work that you're doing. But before you go, take a minute, about 30 seconds, and tell us tell people how they can learn more about investing in Neopenda and how they can learn about contacting you. I know some people are going to want to talk to you to learn more about this opportunity.
Absolutely. And I'd love to talk to every one of you. So feel free to contact me directly at sona@neopenda.com, SONA at NEOPENDA.com. And please visit our WeFunder campaign at wefunder.com/neopenda. All of the deal terms and good pieces of information are on there, but happy to connect with you afterwards if you still have questions. So thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. You are doing inspiring work, and the potential for your business, its opportunity to scale, is just unparalleled and unmatched. I couldn't be more excited to be an investor, and I hope the super crowd will step up. Are you listening, folks? We want to hear you. We want to see you step up and support Sona and her great work. Sona, thank you very much for being with us today. All righty. Now, let's do some good.